walk that I'm blessed. See the love of God in my flex, I'm so blessed. 20K just on my chain, say less. I text every day to get dressed, so blessed. Been through the storm and the rain, still blessed. Had a couple heartaches and pain, still blessed. Handle the pressure from fame, still blessed. Just God called my name, so blessed.
Yes, sir, I'm blessed, don't play boy, cause I got it mad. Tailor made just for this fit, I'm gon' cut the slack. I'm the man, good hearted shorty with me acting bad. Shout out to mans that done tightened up since they became a dad. Shout out to me.
Welcome back to another episode. You are now tuned into the Cobain Report. I am Rock Cobain. This is
Tramell.
And you know the vibes. Today we have a very, very special guest. I'm going to get to Tramell. Let him go ahead and do the introduction.
Yes, we got a very special guest. We're going to get right to it. It's a hometown Renaissance man. You might catch him acting in a stage play, like Why Didn't I See Her, David, or Love, Won't Let Me Wait. If he is not on the stage, you can sing along with him as he hosts Karaoke Kings Friday night karaoke. If you're thinking about tying a knot and don't know who you'll get to sing, you can have him sing over at your wedding. He's sung at countless weddings. After all this said and done, you can stay fit with him as well, as he is an avid runner representing We Run Detroit. He has conquered several marathons and dropped many pounds. We have here today the singer, the actor, athlete, and model. And you can also witness his greatest at the World Voice Day concert 2024 coming up. DeLorean Kaya.
What's good? What's up, bro? Intro, that was
You hear me?
Hey, boy, you did your homework.
Welcome to the Cobain Report.
Come on, man. Y'all done made me feel I gotta show up now.
Man,
I gotta really show up now.
Yeah.
We do our research on this podcast,
Hype
brother.
me up, bro.
No, for sure. Tramell, what you got for him?
Man, listen, we're gonna get started, man, and we want to let the people know, introduce you to our people, man, and tell them, where did your passion for, music come from?
You know what? It started out when I was a kid, man. I know my mother said I started singing when I was 3. And she said, I would just hear you singing jingles on, the TV and, at church and everything like that. And she said, and I had a unique voice for a little 3-year-old. I guess it was kind of advanced because I would catch on the melodies and stuff like that. So then being able to sing on key and everything like that. So it was kind of like just a natural thing. And then, being raised in the church, it was just something that, you just, hey, I already do this, so now I'm in that choir, and then I'm in these little kid competitions, and then it just was one of those things where it was just like I just grew to love it because it was all that I knew. You know what I'm saying? So, and it was pushed. So,
yeah,
Nice.
So church had a lot to do with your sound and kind of cultivating. I always say church has a lot to do with building social skills. Do you think it played a part in you being able to move into these different arenas and different areas like you do?
Yes, yeah. It does. When you said sound, absolutely, because for years I've been trying to get away from. It's wild because even when I'm singing an R&B song or when I'm singing a classical song or something like that, somehow that church, they're like, you go to church, don't you? You got that, in there.
Yeah.
But then as far as like transitioning to arenas, in a different type of arenas and things like that. A lot of times growing up, when you're so conditioned to be like, hey, everything, this, that, don't go too far, da. So a lot of times you try to play it safe and you don't tap into certain things that whatever. But then when you grow and you understand and when you really form your own relationship with God and really understand, like, I can do this, what I'm saying, or certain things, it just... You
ain't gonna put me in hell for this.
Right. It helps you knowing how to move, but making wise decisions when you do it, So, like, tapping into other arenas or whatever, like, I wasn't able to really blossom the way that I did until I actually became later in my teen and adult years, early adult years, and then understanding, like, what it really is to have a relationship. And then it's like, okay, now your conviction, this, that, and the other, it's just one of those things but it did have an impact on how I move in different other arenas.
Yeah. I think Tramell was telling me about high school. You used to be one of the best singers, man. Talk about them days, man, and going through and actually cultivating that gift that God gave you or that you were able to figure out. You know what I mean? Talk about it, man.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna tell you, my voice saved me, bro. My voice saved me from a lot of things, man. Like I said, I wasn't always the strongest boy in high school and growing up and everything like that. And I wasn't always I didn't really have confidence like that, I probably played on like 2 basketball teams, just things like that. So my voice though, when people heard me sing, man, like I remember, he get all the solos in elementary school, all the girls liked it. Then moving into middle school, all the 8th grade girls. I was like, I'm like, hey, this, I might be able to. Still ain't had no game yet. I ain't had no game yet. But it was the fact that they would gravitate, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, yeah, he the man. Or girls tell you certain things like, wait, what? What did she say? You know what I'm saying? You just learning all this stuff. Like, at times I feel like that. And it wasn't until high school, like, oh, I'm really like, I'm feeling myself. I'm feeling myself. And then that's when you start feeling like you the man and stuff like that. But no, in high school, and even in high school, I still was not like, I was not cocky and arrogant as like I'm the man or whatever. It was just that I just did me. And whatever came my way. I did what I did. You know what I'm saying? And it definitely, but just like I said, just being yourself, man, even during that time, because it wasn't common for you to be who you are. Everybody wanted to be somebody else. Well, I got to be that. I got to have the hottest clothes. I got to have this. But you know what? For me, I was different, man. It was just like, I've always, what you see is what you get. Anybody that you ask, people tell you all the time, D-Lo is D-Lo. You see him or DeLorean. That's what you get on, off social media, here, there. It's like, I just been me, and it's just like, it works. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, that's a blessing when you're able to just be your natural self. We were talking about that earlier, and not trying to be anybody else, man. Being your authentic self will win more than trying to be the best imitation of another person, bro.
Absolutely.
Who are some of your influences, man? Who are some of your vocal influences?
Ooh, Stevie Wonder.
Stevie
number one for me, because I feel like I get a lot of my riffs and things like that, and a lot of the stuff that he do. I see myself incorporating that in a lot of songs that I do. Plus, I have like a kind of a higher range or whatever. And when it get up there, you know how his range is up there higher. He got that when he hits his chest or his head tones. Like I kind of mimic those, and so I kind of incorporated that into my stuff. Marvin Winans. When I switch over to my smooth tone or whatever. My mellow, when I mellow out, I feel like I got that from him. And then Brian McKnight, even though you ain't right now, but
back in our day, he was
you got your idols, but no, Brian McKnight, I studied him a lot when it came to using my falsetto and trying to work that and strengthen that and stuff like that. So like the big three was them, and then of course like groups like Clark Sisters, the Winans, you know what I'm saying.
I don't know how I knew they were gonna be in there.
Bro,
I knew the Clark Sisters was gonna be there somewhere.
I
just knew it. Anybody in church, they always go to the Clark.
Gotta be, man.
That's like going to the cross when you're a Baptist preacher.
Facts. But those are my big three. That I feel like I try to, you know what I'm saying, mimic and have studied their music and studied their styles and just tried to come up with my own with all three of them combined, I guess.
How did you go into the acting part of it? Like, I guess, from music to acting, what made you want to do that?
Well, you know what? To me, theater is what tied it together, right? A lot of times people would look for, dang, I need somebody that can sing for this role. And a lot of times you can groom somebody to act.
No Diddy.
You know what I'm saying? Versus right.
No
Diddy for sure. But you can you can train an actor easier than you can train an actor to sing.
Yeah.
Because I'm like I said, I'm a vocal coach. I've been a vocal coach as well, and there are people who are like just strictly tone deaf.
Yes.
And it's like I always used to tell people, I'll be like, oh, everybody can sing. If you can talk, you can sing. If you can talk, you can sing. But it really has nothing to do with your voice. It's what you hear. What you hear. Bro. So it's ear training is imperative. But my singing, like I said, put me in a lot of opportunities because like, oh, he can sing. Okay, well, you know what? We'll coach you how to, we'll teach you how to play this thug. We'll teach you how to play, you know what I'm saying, this,
we need
whatever,
the vocals.
all of this. But you got the vocals. We need you to be able to sing this song. So once I was able to get that, and then, you know, in high school is where it really transitioned. Because, you know, you do little plays here and there as a kid. But like in high school, you get, you know, I got formal training with Brenda Perryman, God rest her soul. She was one of the best, one of the greatest. And, you know, then I actually learned it. And then I started learning I started, you know, being a great actor. I'm like, okay, I can do this. You know what I'm saying? So then it's funny. It's almost insulting. Like now, if I do a stage play and I get an acting gig, but they don't ask me to sing, versus, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so, but, and that maybe has happened maybe once or twice out of all the hundreds of stage productions I did. So just about every stage production, unless it's just something, I'm singing in it too. But it groomed me to be able to do both. And then, like I said, it crossed over into film, which is a whole different aspect of it because everything on stage is big, right? And then because you got the cameras on for film, they got the different lens. You don't have to do everything big. You ain't got to be so loud. You ain't got to do this. Everything, just keep it mellow. You know what I'm saying? And then so just the but no, it definitely transitioned through song because most people look for singers, or I need a man who can sing this song or to do this duet with old girl or do it by, and if you got it, then we'll come with the acting. We got you.
It's
Man,
basically
you
like
mentioned-
having another tool.
Yeah, you mentioned something earlier, two things. One was about like growing into yourself, and another was about lacking confidence. Being a classmate, a former classmate of yours, man, I would have never guessed that, you know, in high school that you had any like, you know, confidence issues or anything like that. Like you said, you always kind of like, you know, had your own thing going on. Like you were one of the few, you know, students that I seen wear suits, you know what I mean, to school. And I mean, that was a large display of confidence to me because, I mean, I wore what I wore. It matched like everybody else, but I would have never been like able
Brave
to like
enough
pull out, brave enough to
age.
wear like a suit.
Yeah.
You know, my parents, shout out to my parents, Eddie and Dolores. They always have, me and my siblings, we never, number one, we never wanted for anything, right? But we were never, I want to say, how can I put this? In one instance, we were given a silver spoon, and then in another instance, we had to work for what we had to get. So they, I think, created that perfect balance of getting what you need or getting what you want through hard work, but at the same time, them wanting better for us, like growing up in Southfield and things like that. It groomed us, or they wanted to afford us the things that they didn't have and allow us the opportunities that they didn't have and things like that. So with that being said, it was almost like a natural appreciation just being, you know what I'm saying, like when going to school, wearing clothes. Like we was happy. Like I remember my parents would tell a story about my oldest brother. When people asked him where he got his clothes, he said, Kmart. And we were happy to say we got our clothes from Kmart.
Yeah.
And it really, to be honest with you, sometimes it would tear my confidence down a little bit because I'll be cool with, you know what I'm saying, getting an outfit from Kmart or Foreman Mills or something. I don't even know if Foreman Mills was open back then. But I'm just saying, like, because we
Shoppers World,
appreciated nice things.
Yeah.
Like my parents dressed nice. My dad suits and something about dressing up, it just make you feel good. So as a kid, I was all my little kid pictures, I had the suit. My dad hooked me up, you know. So I always had that confidence when it came to clothes. It was just like, you know what I'm saying, everybody has something internally that they're struggling with, right? And when I say lack confidence, like even trying to talk to women, you know, the way, like, again, like I said, singing saved me because it's like I do that, and then that'll create the conversation because they're like, I don't know how to like really quite like, hey, you cute,
Yeah.
like, so what you want to do? Well, what you want to do? I mean, you know, growing up, but you live and you learn. So like when I say those type of things, it was that, and then even like I said, you know. You can't get no Jordans until you get a 4.0. It pushed me to get a 4.0. I got my first pair of Jordans, or you know, different things like that. So it was like we weren't focused on labels and stuff like that. Even though, you know, and even as an adult, bro, I'll go anywhere and get a pair of Louboutins, all the way to a hat from the gas station. I don't care. It's like whatever I feel like I like. It don't matter if I got the T-shirt from the dollar store or went to, you know what I'm saying, at one of the big stores or something like that. It's just, you know, it is what it is. I like to look nice. I like to feel good.
No, it makes
fashion
sense.
is always on it. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah, no, it makes sense. It make all the sense, man. And I mean, thankfully, we didn't have like a social media era back then because, you know, people, you know, in middle school, I think it was more so where people were maybe mean about what you wore or what you didn't wear. In high school, I think people, it was, I mean, I know
It was tight.
for myself, I never was that person to talk about nobody or nothing like that because, I mean, like you said, everybody had a different thing they battling with. So I never, you know, talk down on somebody or for what they wore, especially.
I
that
got
was,
talked about out, bro. Your shoes, yeah, I know you got them shoes. Like I got dogged out. Now, and that's the crazy thing because again, like I just feel like all that stuff make me stronger versus somebody else. It might have made them depressed or whatever. I ain't know nothing about what no depression feel like or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? And then when I look back, I'm like, well, maybe that was, you know, depression or whatever because
sure.
you know certain things. Because now you when you're older, you understand. But I got talked about because people could like when you could tell when you have somebody that have all the latest name brand stuff and then you just a regular kid or whatever, but I still didn't care. It was like that ain't gonna stop me wearing. I remember a couple times, you know, telling my parents about it, but it was like, you know, it is what it is because this is what I'm wearing. You know, I don't have a problem. This is what I know.
But then you had the luxury of having two parents too. A lot of people, you know, they have single parents, so they have automatically that identity issue, right?
Absolutely.
You was kind of like, you was complete on both sides. So even if you did walk in with Kmart, your father affirmed you and your mama affirmed you. So you ain't care what nobody had to say.
And I think that's what it was too. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, always just, you know, just encouraging you, telling you the best is the best.
Yeah.
My kid's better than that. That's
For sure.
And then you believe it. You know what I'm
You
saying?
do.
Now, don't get me wrong. We had our issues and stuff like that, like every family does.
Yeah.
And always a two-family home is not always, you know what I'm saying,
No, for
everything
sure.
green. But I feel like a man in the home
Changes the vibes.
definitely changes the
does.
vibes of how things are operated because it was like, you know what I'm saying, you don't have that nowadays a lot of times. Like all my mama had to do was say, wait till your daddy get home.
And
or
you-
I'm gonna tell your daddy.
Ooh.
That's all he need to do. He had to be he would be at work all day.
But let her tell him it's
But
up.
man, if she ain't feel like whooping us or feel like getting us together, it's like I got you. Your daddy will take care of it. And that's, you know, that's the thing. You know, a lot of times, you know, and here's another thing. You know, they teach you to have family, you know, you got to stick together and whatever. And I agree with that to an extent because sometimes family can hurt you worse than somebody outside the street. So, but you have to understand, your parents teach you what they were taught, not what they felt or how to, you know, you see what I'm saying? So every generation has to break down certain barriers.
Yeah, for sure.
You take away from the things that made you feel good and the positive things or things that you thought, you know, you needed to be the person or the parent that you are. And you try to instill that in your kids, but at the same time, you still miss the mark somewhere. You don't get it 100%. So then each generation has to pick up and say, okay, now I'm going to take this to the next level. So now I know how this made me feel. So I don't want to make this, I don't want to put this on my child. I don't want to put this, so we're going to have to figure out how to do this. You know what I'm saying? I always say people like to blame their parents for the way they turned out, which in consequence, yes, you can. They can take some blame, but at the same time, when you identify the problem, when you identify what the problem is with me, you own it. So there, at that point, you say, all right, either I can do something about it, or I can continue to be the victim and just use
for sure.
and say, well, I'm the way that I am because of them, and you don't have to
exactly.
take ownership of it.
Yeah.
And that's why
That's
we have
the
a lot
ill,
of
though.
people that are in that exactly.
But that's the ill though, and that's something that I've, as a father myself, my cousin will tell you, I have literally gone above and beyond to be the exact opposite of what I experienced. You know, me and my dad are really, really forthcoming with our relationship struggles and the things that we went through earlier in life. You know, we've been able to rebound in our adulthood and been able to have a great relationship for about the past 20 years, you know, but the first 20 was rough, you know, and it wasn't all his fault. It's just life, you know, life be lifing. But at the same time, you know, I've used that as a playbook. Like you said, I know how it made me feel when, right? So prime example, when I would say me and my son got into a little, about maybe around Christmas time, we got into that. You know, my son's 18, 19 now, so he, you know, it's natural. It's going to happen. It's what it is. You know what I mean? So, you know, we got into our little thing, our little tisk or whatever, but I made sure I doubled back and fixed the situation. I didn't care what he did as a child because he's a child. His brain isn't formed. His frontal cortex hasn't hardened yet. He's not making those decisions, right? Yeah. So I took it upon myself to say, I know you were wrong, but I'm going to walk you through this too. Like I've done everything else as a father, walking you through. I'm going to walk you through this period because I'm your father. You didn't ask to be here, you know? Absolutely. So when me and my dad got into it, when I hit 20 something, whatever, he did not do that. You know, he didn't walk back and do the father route and I affirm and all that. You know, that stuff came years later. You know, so what I did was use what he did not do as a playbook. Whether it's graduations, whether it's, you know, spring breaks, whatever, I go above and beyond because I know exactly what you said, how it feels to be the person that's sitting there and you're like, if he would have just would have thought, or does he even think? I don't want my kids to ever wonder if I love them or I'm thinking about them.
Absolutely. And, you know, my mom, she did something while we were growing up because when we started out, it's 5 of us. When we started out, you know, my mom was a typical housewife. My dad was the breadwinner, 100%. He worked. She took care of the kids and everything like that. He had a bad car accident in 1990. We were still little kids. And that was a pivotal moment. My mama, that light went off in her head. She said, we would be in bad shape if something like this happened again or if he passed. She went back to school. Now, prior to that, my mama was, you know, the disciplinarian for the most part until, you know, it was one of those, I'm going to get your daddy, you know what I'm saying? She would whoop us when she mad, you know, maybe go a little too far sometimes or whatever. Yeah. Same thing with my dad or whatever. But
with 5 kids, though, bro, you got to put that in there.
You do, yeah,
Because I got 4. If you don't got your foot in there, bro,
you got it.
The police gonna put that foot in there for you later on.
Absolutely.
You gotta have that discipline and structure. But go ahead, I ain't gonna cut you off.
No,
Sorry about that.
And she went back to school and she became a social worker. And during that process, it was like we all. It was a pivot in our household together because she changed the way that she disciplined us because it's like now that you know better, now that you study, you do better. So although you already got kids, you know, in between that 7 and 19 range or whatever, now you're switching the plan. It was like, okay, so I'm not gonna whoop y'all or discipline y'all while I'm angry. I'll wait till or learn how to use iMessages. So it was while raising us where she did a pivot or whatever. Now my dad not so much. He still was on that. Which I feel like is a healthy balance. But at the same time, like you said, a lot of times you will wonder why. You don't want to have that feeling as to why, or why didn't it? Because again, you know, tough love is what black families is what we harbor on. No matter what, forget all that. But my feelings matter.
And see, I as a father and kind of mimicked what your mom did. Because I tell you, I went back to school late, 27 years old. You know, by then I had been parenting since I was 19, right? So my kids got older. You know, we had conversations. Now that they big boys, we talk. You know, they like, man, when you used to be mean, you used to be rough, you used to be whooping. Woo, you didn't used to play when you. It was like you cooler now that we older, you know. And I think they don't realize that sometimes your father's just as scared as you are. Yeah, he just want the best for you. And sometimes that tough love when you got boys. Yeah, because you know what this system and what this world would do to them. You know what I mean? Nice. But when I became a social worker, I started to change the way that I parent. Now that I have a daughter, I have changed the way that I live. Plus parent.
That's deep right there. No, real talk.
You feel what I'm saying? I've changed everything. Listen, man, I won't even talk to my daughter if I'm upset with her. Yeah. Because I don't want her thinking that every time she does something that it's common nature for a man to discipline her. Right. Because when she leaves my house, I wish a man would discipline her. Then you're going to have to see Poppy. You know I'm coming. You hear me? I'm talking about no Diddy.
Right. No, real talk.
You hear me?
Talk, bro. I feel that. And it's kind of like you just said. Like when I was growing up, like I was scared of my dad. My dad still kind of tower over. My dad has always been a big guy.
Listen, my son's 6'2". He bigger than me, and he still know.
See?
I ain't playing.
Right. And so, like, you know, some things like I wish, like it's crazy. Like my dad is my best friend right now. You know what I'm saying? We talk about everything. We talk about hours. We be like, hey, you see, like you know when we talking about and we share a lot of things and you know that relationship and I love that because as an adult You know what I'm saying? I never want to have that relationship where I'm at odds with my parents or whatever, especially when they're getting older and things like that. But like, no, me and my dad talk about almost everything. But growing up, it wasn't like that. It was like, this, you chief commander. Yeah. I'm just, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I feel like, you know what I'm saying, but I feel like we do have to open up to our kids more so that they can see that, not necessarily friend, but you can talk to me. And they said we could talk to you about anything, but a lot of times actions didn't show that we could talk to you about everything.
See, my main focus for my children is making sure they are whole men, right? Yeah. So I'm trying to tap into the emotional side too.
Yes.
Because earlier in life, I wasn't, right? I wasn't hip. I didn't take the classes. I didn't get it until I went to school.
Right.
So if you notice a lot of my posts, I say I'm raising whole men.
Yeah.
Not just nice shoes, nice clothes, and you cute and keep a haircut and I teach you how to wear cologne. No. Whole men.
Yeah.
That can treat women right. That are ready for whole women. Who are emotionally good. Their father's relationship with them is good. Mother's relationship is intact, so they're ready for the world socially.
Yeah.
They're not battling inside to know, am I great? No, you've been affirmed, you're good, you've been empowered, now you're ready for the world. So I'm raising whole men emotionally too, bro. And guess what that causes for sometimes? Me to bite and apologize.
I was about to say, that apology matters.
Me to apologize.
Children need to see apologies. They need to hear apologies. Parents, you should be apologizing.
You have to
when you're wrong.
Yeah, you have to.
That's character.
Because their feelings are valid. Their emotions are valid. They're real things. You know what I mean? It's not just because you don't want to deal with it doesn't make it real. It's real. You just have to be able to go the level where your kid is, meet them where they are sometimes, you know? Yeah. And as parents, we don't want to do that. We don't want to meet them because it takes us to put our pride in our pocket. It takes for us to humble ourselves. And a lot of parents are not humble with their children. We'll go and let the white man or whoever, wherever you work at, I'm not going to put a color on it, but we'll go out and we'll let the job tell us what to do and all that. You won't be humble for them, but you'll be humble for them, but you won't for your kids.
Because I said so.
Yeah.
That thing, that
that triggers the black child.
We gotta get through that one. That one. Yeah. Because I say so don't always, some things need an explanation.
Yeah. Did your relationship with your... I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say, this conversation kind of leads into our topics actually, like with parenthood, adulthood. Lately, it was a post kind of trending, this week about adults and 2-parent households, what it is, the cost to live comfortably. You know what I mean? And for a single adult, it was like $93,000. That was nationwide. For a 2-parent household, like yourself. And with 2 kids, it would be $200,000. So kids, like you always just saying, the challenges that it comes with raising children. They know their parent is their parent, but they don't understand the different challenges that you may be facing outside of the house. And what you have to come in and deal with as this person is growing. Right in front of you, and their personality and everything like that. So. Man, D-Lo, tell us, man, how do you think about, what do you think about, and is it, affecting you in any way, this comfortable cost of living, this $93,000, $94,000?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, $93,000 sound pretty good right about now, but no, real talk, no, what I really feel like, it's one of those sticky situations, right? Because the cost of living, it may be up there, but are these jobs paying what the cost of living should be? You know what I'm saying? For a single person, for people. And then people are like, well, that's good because you should get your degree. If you get a degree, you can da-da-da. But you even got people with degrees.
Yeah, you do, bro.
That can't get work. That's only making $50,000 a year. Whether it's single home or what. So and you got 2-parent homes that are probably making what the single family home is. And I feel like creating jobs, and the thing about it, what happened during the pandemic when they were able to dish out all that money just proved the point that we got it.
Yeah, exactly.
You got the resources to make things happen the way that they need to be. Everybody's just greedy. You know what I'm saying? And now the backlash that we have because of that, everything is inflated. That's ridiculous.
And the money has not gone up to match
Hasn't gone up to match anything. So why would you, so to set set those standards, and it's just wild to me. Like, people got to get, you got to have your main corporate job, and and I'm about to just use me, and I'm single. I got my main corporate job. I got my gigs that I do with my bands. I got, to go to this. I host this. I'm doing that because I got to make sure, you know what I'm saying, that I'm nothing lacks, financially, and people shouldn't have to overwork to stay with the cost of living and things like that when y'all know how this should work. You know what I'm saying? We saw y'all just gave us
$700 a week to just sit at home.
Look, isn't it funny how fast we become our parents? Like,
bro, you feel
out
me?
of nowhere, like you said.
Bro.
I every time I hear somebody saying the cost and how much this is, I always think about our parents. And
take me back. Take me back.
95 cents for a loaf of bread back then.
Man, it's different.
And then you see how we can send billions of dollars overseas for bull crap, right?
Yes.
When we got our
for religious wars.
What can we do? Like what can we do with $3 billion?
Bruh.
Ooh, right. With the homelessness and the starvation over here.
Talk about that, bro.
Yeah.
And then they got the nerve to be reducing grants in the state of Michigan. If you know anything about grants and stuff like that, they're reducing a lot of the domestic violence grants that are going out right now. You know what I mean? Like, they're cutting back everything right now.
See, and I've been trying to tap into grants because, like I said, being from my entrepreneur side, you know what I'm saying, being a leader of a band and trying to make sure that I have the finances too. Because what I tell my band members all the time, like, y'all gonna be good regardless. I don't care if we book a gig and they back out or I got y'all. Y'all money comes out of my account, and they'll just what I consider is a reimbursement because I asked y'all to do for me. You know what I'm saying? So even just trying to like, and that's one of the things I said I was going to try to get into is grant writing so that I can start applying for grants and things like that, because those are the type of things you need.
Bro, they out here.
And they are out here.
They out here.
So, but yeah, man, and then to take back, y'all taking back funding for certain things, like, it's just.
Oh, it's crazy.
Bro, it's wild.
It's crazy.
All around, right. It's all around crazy as far as jobs, like you said, and the funding that's short and everything. And on top of it, going to the next one, like Stellantis, the parent company, or Chrysler, what they pulled with their employees, 400 employees.
Oh, they
laid off.
Third shift or something like that?
No, it was like the white collar workers.
For real?
And I don't know what shift it was, but it was the white collar employees.
Yeah, and in fact, the other thing is, like, a lot of them woke up to text messages.
And see, that's what I was going to. They told them that it was a required remote work day. So they had these people stay at home.
Just because they knew.
And they thought they was like, about to go to work. And actually they was like, telling them they didn't have a job.
These jobs is crazy,
that's
bro.
unfortunate because, again, it goes to show that, I don't care nothing about your livelihood.
No, they don't. They don't.
As long as you can, what you can do for me, okay, we gonna fix y'all. Y'all boycotted, y'all did XYZ for all of it to get this extra funding. We ain't got it.
Yep.
And I'm about to show you. I mean, we got it, but
we
ain't trying to get after you. What are the CEOs, the billionaires? Are we not? I'm staying the rich stay richer, and the poor stay poor. We don't need that. We don't need that much. And then they gonna overwork the ones that they kept.
Yeah, and gave the $40 to.
Yeah,
they get $40 an hour. They ain't about, man. Come on, bro. Y'all think they about to get $40, bro? Come on, man.
I knew something because I seen a lot of, because I have a lot of friends that work in the plants, and a lot of them was like, I'm not signing that because y'all know they gonna do something. And when I didn't understand it at first when I was seeing my man. So I'm like, boy, you better go get that money. Stop talking. He knew.
No, for sure. They gonna find a way to get that money back.
He said we gonna pay for that one way or another.
Bro, I'm telling you, somebody gonna get their jobs cut. Some way they coming up with that 40 ball.
This is what I hope one day. I hope that the employees all across the country start to realize and understand their full power. If, like you just said, the CEO is not it's multiple CEOs for certain places, but it's like, maybe max 10 or so. When you got 300 and 400 employees, they just let go. Those 400 employees could have, stood together and got their job back or over to the company. You know what I mean? If they work together versus like everybody, want to be like, hey, I got my household, I got to do, what I got to do over here and everything like that. So we, separated, we fall, you know what I mean? But
no, for sure.
It's something that's going to, keep happening. And again, they just kind of keep looking at it like, oh, this job, it paid for this, and that. But it lets you go. You know what I mean? Like
go.
with
What you gonna do now? What is it gonna pay for? I don't have nothing. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're somebody that lives paycheck to paycheck.
For sure.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
like, you know.
No, for sure. These jobs, they will play with you, man. You got to stand on business and be prepared. You know, I live by this thing to where I don't overwork for these companies because, man, they will let you go at a heartbeat and have somebody already ready for your replacement, already hired the same day they fire you.
Before the pandemic shut down, my job did that. My previous employer, they were like, you know, we don't need your department or whatever, and we knew about 4 months in advance, so I had time to do what I needed to do.
And go find
And it got all the way up to January where they started letting everybody in my department go. And then my old boss, she pulled me in the room. She said, hey, she was like, well, because you work with the insurance portion of it, we can't send up, because I was doing quality and training, right? And they were like, they can't send that to our overseas companies and stuff like that. So they were like, we were just going to say if you wanted to, well, you could keep your job, blah, blah, blah. But by then, see, I'm already mentally checked out. I'm already setting things
Silently
in play.
fired.
I'm ready. I was like, and I declined. I said, I'm good. And I was like, I ain't got my plans. I'm gonna go ahead and do this, get this unemployment, and I'm gonna work on. I'm gonna move. I'm gonna be able to focus on my music, this, that, and the other, or whatever. And then the pandemic happened. Everything was shut down.
And everybody, yep.
Everything was shut down.
That was a crazy time, dog. That pandemic was a nuts.
Wild.
Talking about nuts, bro. I remember the first day of the pandemic, bro. I was so scared, dog. I just went for a drive and just had all the windows down because I felt like I was like having a panic attack, bro. Because I didn't the job part, it was just like I didn't know if I just didn't know. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have a clue what was gonna happen. I wasn't financially in a place where I had like a whole bunch of savings. You know, it was just a lot, dog. I just remember I'm having this is the first time I really had a panic attack, bro. Like I just drove around with the windows down. It was just riding through the city, like
I had
stressing.
just got laid off. And so, I had just when I was telling you, because that was in January. And so I lollygagged and then went and did the unemployment. I literally had got unemployment like maybe a week or two before the shutdown happened. So I fell right in. I didn't have to wait. I didn't have to do it because I was
through no fraud
I was in the
investigation.
rotation already. And sure enough,
Yeah.
and then here's the thing. Here's how much I didn't pay attention to what was going on. That like when they said they gave everybody double because of the pandemic. So I was like, I got that next check, and you didn't have to, because you have to fill out job applications. You got to show.
Right.
So I went on to go fill out my job applications, like to say I had applied to these works, and next thing I know, the income had doubled, and I was like, oh, shoot.
I hope they know that they didn't done. I
was like, no, and so me, I'm honest. I try to do the work of the Lord. And I called other place. I said, I think y'all, something happened here. I got a little extra in my account because I don't want no problems with the IRS. I ain't paying nothing back.
I'm with you,
so
bro.
I want you to make sure when you tell me, when I tell you, I came to you. I brought it to you. Now if you say keep it, then we good.
I was integral.
If you'd have called me, I'd have told you, don't block your blessing.
Bro.
Now in that instance, now there's levels to that. Now, they ain't just find a bag of $10,000 on the side of the road.
Right.
That's a different. Right. You know what I'm saying? But this was, this is wired and all this. But and then they explained to me, they said, well, because the pandemic happened, nobody's working, they shut down. From now on, everything is gonna be doubled, and then and you don't have to do the applied work. Man, when I tell you, I was like.
Yeah.
No, you was shouting, you was voting.
I was like, what? Bro, 2 years.
So, bro, speaking about blessings, dog, I heard him say earlier you do your karaoke. Talk about how you started doing the karaoke. How you got into that? How did you get into it?
So here's the thing. As a singer, I love doing karaoke. But people that can't sing don't like for singers to do karaoke. Yeah, because
I'll be overdoing it,
right? So I used to do karaoke a lot, and then what I had to do, somebody actually, told me that was a singer. It was like, you're a real singer, so you're giving people too much access. They can come and see you sing at karaoke, versus booking you or things like that. So I had to really look at that, and I was like, that's smart. So I remember, like I said, because I was at the Thursday nights at Shields. I was, you know how they used to have Sundays at Floods. That was, the real singers used to come out and about for that. But I was like, nah, you right. So what I did was, I stopped just singing anything at karaoke. I have my regular song, whatever. That's all you get, or maybe a different. I got like 2 in rotation that I'll do or whatever. But then my boy Jason Applin, he's I call him, he's the CEO of Karaoke Kings, because we got a whole we got it's DJs, hosts, and we got our different nights at what's names, and we rotate and everything like that. He said, man, D-Lo, he was like, I remember when I did for my 35th birthday, I did a show called the D-Lo Experience. Showcased, I had a little single that I had out or whatever, and then was introducing, and then did like a little concert. And it was the first time that I ever did a concert for my own. And he was like, I'm starting this karaoke thing. He said, why don't you kick it off and leading into your D-Lo Experience show? So like they'll come to see the karaoke. He's like, I want you to host it though. And he was like, you host it, and then you can give away a couple tickets to your event, blah, blah. I was like, that's cool. So this started, what was it, 2019? Yep, 2019. That's what the 35. And so I did it, and then I thought about it. So it's like, okay, now this is a different aspect of it. So you do like it, and now if you're gonna be doing karaoke, you might as well get paid for it, right? So it was like, okay, then now it makes sense, because and then even now I have a way to, because I the more knowledge you are about knowledgeable, excuse me, I'm not illiterate, y'all. The more knowledgeable though that you are about your craft and things like that, then you find a way to work it, to make it work for you, do what you like to do. So like I said, most of the times I don't even sing. Every so often I might give them something, try to tear the house up or whatever, the audience or whatever in there. But it's like, get paid to host it. And then now you know what I'm saying, it makes sense. But don't just be out here singing and just have it for free, and people get the access to you, and then I could go see you at karaoke, so it ain't no need for me to blah blah blah. But it really, and to be honest with you, it never really affected people booking me and things like that. But it's just the idea it could, because people know, oh, you gonna be at karaoke, I see you sing, da da da, So it's we slapping right now, Karaoke Kings, like everybody. We do private parties, we do gigs, wedding receptions, we do all of that, and the people love it. And I just like seeing people come in. I get a kick out of people coming in and just having fun and in their elements and singing and everything like that. So
no, that's good, bro. Since you work so hard, I know he was talking about you doing fitness earlier. Talk about some things that you do to kind of, I guess, what's something you do in your downtime, like something you do for fun? I know what you about to get into. There we go.
I run.
That's what I want to hear right there.
Run, y'all.
Get into it,
bro. Like running is another form of therapy for me.
Okay.
I hated it at first, and now I ain't gonna say that I hate it now, but it's like it's work. It's like you have to do it because I had a weight problem. I still have a weight problem. I fluctuate because I like to eat.
Me too.
Right.
I'm fat.
And there was about the biggest I've ever been, and I'm only 5'8". And the biggest that I've ever been was 230 pounds. I've reached 230 pounds.
That's me right now.
And it was fat. It wasn't so it wasn't muscle. I wasn't all muscle and things like that. So, and then when I was 27, I think I went for a checkup or something, and I had, it was 27 or 28. And at that time, he was like, you got borderline, you got a little bit of high blood pressure. You know what I'm saying? You want to get that down. So I really started then. Like, all right, well, let me get in this gym, you know what I'm saying? And, started doing things on my own. I done been with trainers. I done did all this other stuff until you finally figure out what works for you. And I think the biggest transformation I had was 2021 going into 2022. And I think that's the biggest weight, because I think I dropped 60 pounds. Jeez. And I had got all the way down to 170. And then that year I was like, I'm about to run a marathon, do this marathon. I ran the marathon, showed out in that. And just running, we run 313 Run Club. I joined Black Men Run. I joined Downtown Runners. Like, there's literally a run club that runs every night of the week, even through the winter. Like, I literally been running. But it's therapy because, some people be like, I can't run without music and things like that. I can run miles without music. I don't run with music because I feel like that's my time. I meditate, I pray, I sing songs.
You
like
be in
whatever.
your head.
I just be in my zone, and now it's more so of an art
Yeah.
versus it being just a, you know what I'm saying? Just but yeah, running I feel like has saved my life, and like just doing all these different events and races and things. Like my medal rack is growing, and just meeting new people in the community, white, black, like all these people, running, and then really like just the camaraderie and the fellowship of the events and the things that we do outside of running. It's just a whole new.
It's a family.
It's a whole new family. So it's like I just be tapped in. I got different social groups in different arenas. You know what I'm saying? My fitness people, my running people, my music people, my acting people. Like
that's
all
church
this,
though, bro. That's
all
some social
communities,
skills.
So.
No, for sure. Man, this has been a great episode. We about to get ready to wrap this one up. I'm going to give everybody one round to talk about what they got going on, where we can find them at. If you guys want to tap in with them, lock in with them, partner with them, whatever, I'm going to start with Cotton DeLorean, have him go first, and we're going to go T-Mail, then I'm going to wrap it up with this episode.
Yes, sir. Y'all can find me on Facebook. I have 2 Facebook pages, Cotton DeLorean, DeLorean Cotton. Either way, you'll find me. I'll come up. I try to do a pretty good job of keeping everybody posted on everything that I have coming up, whether it's plays, whether it's films, premieres, whatever. When my band is playing, XYZ. Shout out to the D-Lo Experience. I'm on Instagram, Team D-Lo. That's TEAMDELO. It's the same for Twitter. I ain't never on Twitter. I just, but if you just want to go, I don't know. But yeah, and booking. If you're looking to book me, my band or me for whatever weddings, things like that, it's booking at DeLorean RC Cotton. I'm sorry, DeLorean R Cotton at gmail.com. So booking at DeLoreanRCotton.com.
Good job.
We appreciate again D-Lo stopping by, kicking it with us today. We want to thank you all for tuning in again. Check us out. Like, comment, subscribe. The Cobain Report on YouTube. Check us out May 5th at the Eastern Market. We got the big pop-up coming up. We'll be there. Come out. Help us bless the city. Go ahead, Cobain.
That's right. That's right. We want to thank very special guest, Cotton DeLorean, for this very informative conversation. So many different topics. This brother is, hey, you don't judge people by the outside of their book because you just never know. You know what I mean? This brother got a wealth of knowledge in different topics. I mean, we talked about social work here, fitness, a little bit of music, a little bit of everything, okay? So when he said a Renaissance man, he was not capping, all right? So we want to thank you guys for tuning in to episode 18 of the Cobain Report. We're at the Cobain Report. Yeah, season 1 of the Cobain Report.
If you got anything from this episode, if you got anything from this episode, be you. Like D-Lo said, be you. You can't go wrong.
No, for sure. Like, subscribe, share, comment, do all the things. It's free. If you want to partner with us, you know how to do that. You can go on the page. We'll have the Cash App or whatever around as well. And thank you for tuning in. As I always say, it's a wrap, bitch. I'm back. Fuck that job.